a lot of the younger generation now, they're using TikTok as a search engine. They're not using Google, which is kind of mind-blowing. But it allows you, if you're coming up with proper descriptions for your videos on TikTok and proper hashtags, you're setting yourself up for search organic. And then of course YouTube is obviously populating all of that into Google. So if someone's searching the traditional way of Google, your videos are going to come up too.
Welcome to the e-commerce podcast with me, your host, Matt Edmondson. The e-commerce podcast is all about helping you deliver e-commerce wow. And to help us do just that, I am chatting with today's special guest, John Roman from the BattlBox Group, about how to use content to connect with your community, which, let's face it, we all want to know how to do that better. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. But before John and I get into the nitty-gritty, let me give you my podcast pick. Some previous episodes that I think you're going to enjoy. Check out How to Tell Stories That Convert. This was a fantastic conversation I had with a chap called Marcus Cauchi. And let me tell you, Marcus is just an absolute legend, just full of stories, and one of my favorite episodes, so do check it out. Also check out Content Strategy is My New BFF, Why It's Essential for Successful E-Commerce with Katie Wright. She's also a beautiful lady with a lot of good things to say, so do check that out. You can access my podcast picks and also my entire archive of episodes for free on our website at ecommercepodcast.net. Plus, if you're there, sign up for the newsletter and we'll send you the links to our podcast picks along with the notes from today's show, today's conversation with John. They get all delivered straight to your inbox totally for free at no cost to you, dear listener, which I think is pretty amazing. Now, are you struggling to grow your e-commerce business? Do you feel like you're constantly spinning plates, trying to figure out what to focus on next? Well, let me tell you, I have been there and I've coached many people who have been there, and I know how frustrating it can be, which is why it's exciting for us that eCommerce Cohort sponsors this show. Now, eCommerce Cohort helps e-commerce businesses like yours deliver an exceptional customer experience that drives results. And to help you get started, we're excited to announce a brand new free resource for you, and it's called e-commerce Cycles. It's a mini course where I walk you through our proven framework for building a successful e-commerce business. You know what? I have coached a whole bunch of people, and knowing what to do and actually do it are always two different things. So we'll show you the specific steps that we take in our own e-commerce business to implement the stuff that we need to do. So you can see exactly how this works and how you can put it in practice for your own business. And the good news is, as I said, all of this is completely free, and you can sign up now at ecommercecycles.com. In fact, I say sign up, you don't even need an email address. You just open the webpage and click the play button. So head over to ecommercecycles.com to get this free training and get started today. It's time to start delivering e-commerce wow to your customers with the help of e-commerce Cohort. Now, all of that said, let's get into our conversation with John Roman. I almost said Roman John. John, sorry about that. I almost got your name the wrong way around. John Roman is the CEO and co-founder of the electrifying BattlBox Group, home to 3 explosive brands, BattlBox, Carnivore Club, and Wanlow. With a whopping $30 million e-commerce subscription portfolio, this group is all about building strong content and community. So much so that they've even landed, check it out, drum roll please, their own show on Netflix. Now, the excitement doesn't end there, as the BattlBox Group was recently acquired in October 2021 as well. So a whole lot of stuff to get into. John, thanks for joining me. It's great to have you here. Super excited, man. Got so many questions. How are we doing?
Great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here too.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Now, John, listen, I mean, we were talking before we hit the record button about various different things. And I wanted to wanted to start out our conversation. Sadaf has given me the opening question, and so I'm going to ask Sadaf's opening question. If you don't know, dear listener, Sadaf is the producer of the show, and she's wonderful, and she does a lot of research, and she gives you the opening question to ask, which is, what is a non-negotiable that you do every day, rain or shine?
200 push-ups every day.
200. Why 200?
I honestly, it's not a good reason why. I build up to that with a group of guys I do it with, and I'm trying to get it raised higher, and everybody has to agree, and not everyone's agreeing right now.
Okay.
I want to take it up further.
Wow. To what number?
I think ideally 500, but that's a long way to go. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of push-ups.
Not all at one time. That's not possible. So we've been doing this almost a year now.
Okay.
So when we started, we were doing 100 a day. Wow. And it's just slowly over time built up. I think when I started doing it, the most I could do at one time was 25, 30. And my first set this morning, I did 80.
Wow.
So it's crazy. It's this little thing, but holding yourself accountable to it and doing it, it just kind of sets the pace.
Yeah, I imagine it does. And I mean, it's interesting you say you do this with a group of guys, because I think if you were just doing it on your own, it becomes quite hard. But because there's a group of you doing it and there is that accountability there, it's quite fascinating. So you're doing 80 push-ups at a time, man. That's some good going.
Finished today. So I did a set of 80 and a set of 70. So I'm at 150 for the day, and I'll finish the other 50 probably after this podcast. But I'll probably do like 70 or 80, whatever I can really tap out at.
Oh wow! You just keep going until you can't go any further.
Yeah, until my arms collapse.
And do you just eat lots and lots of protein? Is that how it works?
No, I haven't changed my diet at all. I probably don't. I don't eat that healthy. I go through kind of, the ebbs and flows of life. Where sometimes I'm eating healthy, but 2023, there hasn't been a lot of healthiness in my diet, unfortunately.
No, fair enough indeed. So, well, I guess a question for, we're talking about content and creating content around community. Is that why you started this challenge, was to give you some form of content, or was there some you just did it because you just felt like doing it?
No, I wish there was a better story. A little over a year ago, I had a protruding disc, my L4-5, and I went to the doctor. Specialist put me through the gambit of, we're going to do some physical therapy, and then they gave me that didn't work, so they did they gave me a shot. Like, it was went to the hospital and they gave me this steroid injection into the spine, and that didn't work. And his final thing was, you could have back surgery or focus on your core, and you can't do sit-ups because of your back, but push-ups are really good for your core. And that was the reason I started it, and I turned it into activity and got people involved for the accountability piece. And it's not a good story on how I hurt my back either. I asked my doctor, why did this happen? And his response is, welcome to your 40s. Thanks, Doc. Really appreciate that. Yeah.
That's super helpful. Appreciate that. Yeah. Right. What's it going to be like when I'm in my 50s? I don't know. Yeah. So here you are in your 40s, and John, you've got. I'm intrigued by something I see behind you. I see this actually when I watch because I'm an avid YouTube consumer. I probably watch YouTube more than any other channel. And you have a YouTube plaque behind you, right?
We do, yeah. The silver one. We're on the way to getting the gold one. We'll hit it this year, pending something bad happening.
Okay, so what does the silver plaque mean?
So it's 100,000 subscribers. So we hit that in the middle part of last year.
Well done. And so
Early,
what does
early
what does gold mean then?
gold's 1 million.
Wow. So you're going to have a channel with 1 million subscribers on soon.
That's the plan. We're at 570,000 right now, so we have a little bit of work to do.
Holy moly.
But it's honestly all the videos have done somewhat well, but there are 3-4 videos that went crazy and boosted us with the subscriber count. So,
And is the YouTube channel connected with your business, or is the YouTube channel just something separate that you do?
no, it's the business channel. So it's the BattlBox channel.
So well, let's dig into this then. So for those who may not know, what is the BattlBox channel?
So BattlBox is at its core a monthly subscription box, mystery box of outdoor gear, adventure gear, survival gear. So, whether you're prepping for an apocalypse, or you want to go hiking with your buddies, or you want to go camping with your family, really anything adventure centric in the great outdoors. That's what we send each month.
Which is, I mean, I know what the BattlBox is. You don't do it to the UK. I noticed. I think last time I checked, I was like, oh, my son would really enjoy this. So how did you get involved in the BattlBox? I mean, what was the story behind that getting started?
Sure. So a buddy of mine was every month his fiance was getting a subscription box. It was a Birch box.
Yeah.
And was getting that in the mail, and he'd watch her with this excitement and joy as she opened up this mystery box of makeup samples, for lack of a better description.
Mm-hmm.
And every month she got it, and it was this joyous moment. And he was like, man, I want to feel that. So he went online, tried to find, he was a outdoorsman, and he wanted to find something that was like that for him, and there wasn't one. So when there wasn't one, he is a entrepreneur as well. He the business he had a very slow season in December and beginning of January. So he worked on coming up with a concept at that point, and launched it in February, around Valentine's Day. I came in as an investor, with a game plan to accomplish a couple things, really just board seats and business acumen advice, very minimal time, maybe 5 hours a month. And then my other objective was I really wanted to break down and document the product roadmap, the go-to market strategy, because my background was software, B2B software sales and reoccurring revenue models. And I love that this was a consumer version of it. So the concept was document this as much as possible, and we want to launch some additional brands. And then once I came on board, the time that I was putting in quickly was not with the expectation. So it went from 5 hours a month to 5 hours a week to 10 hours a week to 40 hours a week. And I have a full-time job at the time that I'm already putting in more than 40 hours anyway. So we hit this weird moment where, I'm probably putting 50 plus hours into 2 different companies, one of which I'm not a principal. I have some options in case something great happens, like an acquisition. But if I leave, I don't have anything. And then on the other side, we have BattlBox that I have significant equity in, and I'm enjoying it a lot more. So in April, so we launched February 15. In April 2016, I came on full time.
So when you came on, was your strategy then to go, I'm going to do a YouTube channel? Or is this something you sort of stumbled into? Was this I guess the question I'm asking here, John, is was YouTube a very deliberate strategy for you?
So it was a deliberate initial strategy.
Mm-hmm.
We pivoted to what it is today. So initially, part of our go-to market strategy was, even the first month, we were sending out dozens of battle boxes out to YouTube reviewers, right?
Okay.
So people with any sort of following at the time. I think our kind of our mark in the sand was 10,000 subscribers or greater. We're having conversations with them, sending them out YouTube boxes, and just getting the free product in turn for free content. And we were building that channel, not our channel per se, but our brand on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube via reviewers, influencers. And it took an interesting um, slight pivot where, just to date this, it's crazy that we had this because it's not great for conversion rate, but we had a pre-purchase survey um, in 2015
Mm.
on our site. And it was, how did you hear about us? And it was the usual suspects, right? So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, etc. But we also had the option for an other, where
Mm-hmm.
they could click that little radius circle and type something in. And we had about 20-30% the first month we put this on there say that they came from us from Curran 1776. So we're like, okay, we found the channel, but they weren't on our comped box
Okay.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So we're like, this is strange. Um, so we then did some more research, and Curran 1776 channel was being ran by a guy named Brandon Curran, and he was a paying customer.
Wow.
He was buying our box, doing these reviews. This was his passion. He was a career HVAC guy during the day, and at nighttime he was working on a YouTube channel. And we had a couple months in a row where it was like 20%, 30% of the people doing the pre-purchase survey were saying they were coming from his channel. Um, so we quickly reached out to him and said, hey, you don't have to pay for the box anymore. We're going to keep sending it to you. Just keep doing these reviews. And then a few months go by, 5-6 months, and we said, hey, we need you to keep doing these. Box is still free. We're also going to give you $500 a month. Please don't stop. And a little bit after I came on, we reached out to him with a different proposition. Quit your day job. Move to Georgia. Be full time, the face of BattlBox, and we're going to pop out a lot more content. It's not just going to be the monthly
Yeah.
review. We're going to product test. We're going to start really building this community of like-minded individuals through content.
Wow.
And so he moved his wife and 3 kids, and moved him down to Georgia, and we began just really focusing on content at that point.
Mm-hmm. So the content you guys focused on, you brought this guy down. I mean, obviously you were starting to do well with YouTube. I mean, he was obviously doing well with YouTube. Was that the main channel that you focused on? Were you like, we're just going to own the YouTube space, or was it a bit more broad than that?
So starting off, it was a little bit more broad, but not what it is today. So initially it was Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and it was long form content. So it was here's a product, and we're going to do a product review. In addition to the monthly mission boxes, we were trying to do 3 to 4 product reviews, and in the way that we were testing products to determine if they were going to get our stamp of approval to go into a battle box.
Mm.
So we're kind of really showing how the sausage was made, and it was just those channels. And it wasn't honestly until and we were putting out quality content, but it was all long form. It really wasn't until 2021 where we really started focusing on short form content.
Okay.
And when we started with the short form content, that's when we saw the crazy growth in followers and audience. We were adding on YouTube maybe 500 to 600 subscribers a month, which is no small number, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a very slow growth. We were at 55,000 subscribers on YouTube. And then in early 2021, we finally started putting out content on TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
and we were having relative success early on, but in a small nominal number. We had 5,000 subscribers and then 6,000, but we were able to add them a lot quicker than we were on YouTube
Sure.
and the other channels. And then we saw, we'd occasionally get a win, and I documented all this because it was a lot of losing, but we knew that TikTok and short form content, there was something there. So we kept doubling down, kept increasing frequency of our content. And eventually we saw, as everybody did, this rise of TikTok. And, at that same time of our rise, our follower count's growing. And then we said, okay, well, we're producing this short form content. We're really taking long form content we're already shooting, and we're just cutting it down into short form digestible content. And YouTube has shorts, Instagram has reels, and we're already producing this content. Let's just put it on all three. And around that same time, you saw both Meta and Alphabet, or Google and Facebook, really start being a little bit concerned about TikTok.
Yeah, you did.
So
Yeah.
they made those algorithm changes where they were treating short form content like it was gold. So we doubled down even further, and we're putting the short form content across all three channels. And when we did that, we just saw YouTube start growing. We weren't adding 500, we were adding 5,000 and then 50,000 a month. And we quickly, what's crazy is, we're up to 570,000 on YouTube, but on TikTok we're closing in on 800,000, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, 842,000. I looked it up. So we're painting it across all channels now, and we're testing it on Twitter now, because Twitter made the change last month where they're allowing short form video content. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. And right now everything is leading with short form.
So here I am, right, John, listening to you talk, and I'm thinking, holy moly, you've got a YouTube channel with closing up to 1 million subscribers, hopefully by the end of the year. You're doing short form content, and you're basically selling a box, which is a subscription box, which does outdoor gear. So what sort of things do you do in your videos that sort of keeps people engaged and keeps people coming back?
Sure. So we're really not selling. There's not a lot of selling going on at all. I would say maybe 1 out of 20 videos is really selling in any capacity. And when it is, it's not a hard sell. So we're doing this content. It's educational, it's product reviews. There's some comical elements as well. Really why this works is, consumer behavior, it's a constantly moving little point, right? But what we're seeing, and I think most people would agree with this, is, and it's not like it started this year or last year, it's been a slow move. But consumers, it depends on where the product is on the need want scale, right? Toilet paper, content and community probably doesn't matter too much, right? Because you need toilet paper. But you start going something that's more on the want scale, like a mystery box of outdoor adventure gear. Consumers want to purchase from a brand they connect with. They feel some kind of connection with. And that's what we're building, right? So we have there's other additional elements. So when you're an active subscriber with us, you're put in a Facebook members only group where you have to be an active subscriber to be in the group, and not everyone takes advantage of it. But we have maybe 8,000 active members in there, and they're fostering friendships. These people are posting and they're doing hiking meetups and camping meetups and
Oh, wow.
just grab a beer meetups. And it's really creating this community, which is the real value add, right? People want to feel connection to others, and I think the consumer behavior suggests they also want to feel connection to the brands that they're making. They're spending their hard-earned dollars with.
Yeah.
So it was a long answer, but the content is not, it's not selling the product per se. It's just showing off this lifestyle and educating. We did a educational piece, long form, and the short form will be dropping this week, on electromagnetic pulses. So EMPs, which are typically, they're going to be caused by like a solar flare. But now there's concern that countries might have a weaponized version of this. So it's like a actual thing that people are searching for on Google. You're seeing it up on the trends. So we did a discussion about it, and it's just trying to cater this content towards what people want to know, people want to see.
So I'm genuinely really curious now, in the sense that I've never really been able to crack YouTube. And we've dabbled in a few things, which is probably why we've never really cracked it, John. We've just dabbled. So I'm kind of curious, if the guys listening to the show, the guys and the gals are they've got their e-commerce business and they're thinking, well, this all sounds great, but I don't already have 100,000 followers or 50,000 followers. I've got 50. Do you know what I mean? It's like, or 60 subscribers to my YouTube channel. Where do we start when we're actually right at the beginning? Because it feels like you look at it and you hear stories like from you, and you look at that mountain and you go, oh my goodness, that's a huge thing to climb. So I'm kind of curious, where do you begin when you don't really have the sort of the channel to begin with?
Sure. So now on TikTok or YouTube, if we're getting under 10,000 views, we view it as a failure, right? But I say that to say, but that's not realistic for everyone. It doesn't address your question. Starting off, over 100 views or over 200 views on TikTok, that's considered probably the bar, right? If you're putting out any sort of decent content in short form, YouTube still treats short form like gold, right? All the platforms do it. If you put out a piece of short form content, you're going to get 100 random strangers looking at it on YouTube, and you're going to, if you do it on TikTok, you're going to get 200 random strangers. So that's the bar. So start putting out. The number one rule is consistent content, right? Like, you have to truly commit to this, and you have to commit to it knowing you're not going to see success right away, and you just can't give up. You just have to believe that, and honestly believe this. If you don't believe this, then you shouldn't be doing it, but believe that you're putting out good content, and consistently do it. I would say at bare minimum 5 out of 7 days a week, but you should try to post daily content. And what you should do is test different types, right? Whether it's product review, whether it's, making the salami of your business. Come up with 5-7 different angles of what you think content could be like, and test them all. And don't just test them all one time, test them all multiple times, and find that one video or that one type of video that is netting you 300, 400, or 500 views.
Yeah.
And when you find that one, double down on that. Still be testing the other ones, but now increase frequency of that type of content to exit. And you always want to lean in on test everything, but when you find a certain type of content is resonating with more audience, You just want to instantly lean in on that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. When we find something that works, we slight pivot, additional resources. We're leaning in on that type of content, and we're going to keep pushing it. And even so, I mean, there's billions of people in the world, right? So 500 people see something, make a variation of that video and put that variation out there, slightly change it. You want to remove the meta tags from it, right? So you don't want any of the platforms to be able to identify, so rip the audio from it in any metadata. You don't want YouTube or TikTok to identify it as the same video as before, but make a variation of the one video that did really well, make a variation of it and post it again. With slightly different audio and slightly different video makeup, and you're testing then, is it that type of content? And they make it so easy these days with video editing. You can, if you're familiar with the mobile app called CapCut, they have a web version too, but you can do insane video editing with CapCut. Like, I am not a video editor. I have the Adobe suite on my my computer, but it's not good, right? It's not a good use of my time. I am not going to put out a quality product. I don't know what I'm doing. But man, I'm like a video expert with CapCut. It's very user friendly and allows a novice like myself to edit videos. And I think that's it, right? So yeah, 200 views, find the thing that gives you 400 views or 500 views, double down on that. The cool thing about all the platforms is eventually you're going to hit a win with a video of some sort. Now it's a relative win, right?
Yeah.
So starting off, it might be that video that gets you over 1,000 views. But all the reality of the matter is all platforms have some gamification built into their algorithm to make creators continue. So you're going to see they're eventually going to find something that checks boxes for them, that they're going to disperse to more audience member and get you more views. So if you continue down the grind, it's doing it over and over again, not seeing the results, but knowing that you have to continue. That's the challenge. Most people, they try for 2 weeks and they have no success, so they give up. In reality, TikTok, we took TikTok from 0 to 400,000 in about 9 months, and there weren't any wins in the beginning. It was trying to get that 1,000 view video, and then trying to consistently get 1,000 view videos. But it was building from zero, and just finding the content that was people were wanting to share, people were wanting to click the like button, leave a comment, and you see tricks on it, right? You see, there's one person I follow that he'll mispronounce or misspell a word on purpose, because in today's day and age, there's 1,000 guys are going to be like, I'm going to tell you that you're not spelling it right. But it's forcing engagement. So there's like little tricks like that. Just sticking with it and posting consistently.
This is really interesting, John. Right. So let's say I'm starting my e-commerce business, or I've been around for a while, but I'm not really done the content thing. And I'm going, you know what? I'm listening to you talk, and I'm going, I don't know how long it's going to take to do those videos, but I'm totally going to do it, and I'm going to stick it out, and I'm going to see what's going to happen. I have 2 questions for you, right? One is, how do I know what to do in those videos? So I think that freaks people out. Maybe we'll come back to that. And my second question, and maybe we'll start here, is it worth it, right? So you've got 500 and some subscribers to YouTube, 800 and some subscribers, 800,000 subscribers to your TikTok. How many of those in effect become subscribers to the BattlBox? Do you know what I mean? Because part of me is like, well, I could have 500,000 people over here subscribed to the YouTube channel, but if no one's buying over here, why am I doing this over here, right?
Yeah, so first question on what do you do? What should the content be? I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel here, right?
Mm,
You can look at similar brands or brands that might be in a higher, general space and start looking the ones you know up, and you're likely going to find one of them that is having success with this, and look at the content they're doing, right?
yeah.
And honestly, it's a cheat sheet because you can probably come up, I said, come up with your 5 to 7 different things, different kind of types of content you want to test. You're probably looking at a playbook on that brand on what's working for them.
Yeah.
Um, so I think finding the ideas, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. The answer is
Hmm.
the answer is already there. And I think from that, if you have any creative juices, you're going to have some ideas. Okay, well, this is working for them. We can do that, but we can also do this. And
Mm.
it really starts the idea flow. And this, okay, the second question. My mind went blank. What was the second question?
Does it work? Out of your half
Oh,
a million
yeah, yeah.
subscribers, how many of them become customers?
So it's a great question. So the reality is these customers are not converting at the
Mm.
same rate as paid targeted traffic, right? It's just
Hmm.
not the case. What we're doing is it's a very top of funnel, and we're 100% going to reprospect, remarket to them, right? We're putting up some exclusive offers to try to capture their email when they go to our page. Um, and then depending on their behavior with the first few ads or emails, we're then doing, pretty detailed segmenting and identifying the best fits that are highly engaged. And then we are getting aggressive with email campaigns and reprospecting and offers and SMS. And if they downloaded our mobile app, we're sending them an Android or iOS push.
Mm.
We are trying to convert them in traditional e-commerce ways once we capture them into our ecosystem, whether it's
Yeah.
through a traditional pixel or getting their email address. So they don't convert the same way. You're typically seeing 10% of a standard conversion rate, but that's still a lot.
Yeah.
So if your site normally converts at a you know for using round easy numbers so I don't mess up the math, at a 2% conversion rate, right? These guys are probably going to convert at a 0.2, and that's probably like on the good side.
Mm.
We'll have some things where a video does really well, and we look at the traffic and it's performing at a fraction of that, right? It's only these people are only converting at 0.08.
Mm.
But the the reality is it's still there's value on time, and there's value on spending the editing time, whether it's you or someone else, but the content lives forever.
Hmm.
um and it's still the cost is still less than traditional paid. And we're seeing TikTok as an example. We already know YouTube is doing it, but you're starting to get some search engine optimization into the mix for your brand. um it's kind of insane that I don't do this, but I know that a lot of the younger generation now, they're using TikTok to search for stuff, right?
Hmm.
Whether they're looking for a certain product, or they're in going into the city and they want to go to a restaurant, they're using TikTok as a search engine. They're not using Google, which is kind of mind blowing.
It
But
really is. Yeah.
it allows you, if you're coming up with proper descriptions
Hmm.
for your videos on TikTok and proper hashtags, you're setting yourself up for you know search organic. And then of course YouTube is obviously populating all of that into Google. So if someone's searching the traditional way of Google, your videos are going to come up too.
Yeah. Oh, it's mesmerizing stuff, John. I'm
It
not going to lie.
is.
It's just, you kind of thinking, you go, oh, goodness me, there's a world out there, and that somehow if I can tap into that, it'll be great. And I can see how A bit like what we do with the podcast, right? We do the podcast and people think, well, if you get a podcast and you get 1,000 people listening to your podcast, 100 of them are going to become clients, which is not true at all. But there are all these other benefits that I experience to doing podcasts. So you do get people who convert and they'll join a course or whatever. But you build credibility. There's sort of the engagement. There's a whole bunch of other things that you sort of build around doing the podcast. So I'm assuming, listening to you talk, because the conversion numbers are so low, that there are a lot of added extra benefits for you to carry on doing the YouTube channel. One of the things that you said, which I thought was really interesting, was actually, even though the conversion rates are much lower, they're still more cost effective than paid social. So then it does become a numbers game. So then I go, well, actually now I understand why you want 1 million people, because if you've got 1 million people converting at 0.02 or whatever it is, then obviously the cost of creating the content for that 1 million people to consume is an awful lot lower, I'm guessing, per conversion than your paid media, right? So I like that. But what are some of the other benefits that you guys experience for going through all this pain and aggravation of creating this constant content machine,
Sure. So I'm glad you mentioned the podcast piece, because it's the same model, right? The same benefits. They're eerily similar.
Mm-hmm.
We're becoming subject matter experts in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a softer sell. You're on the business side and the podcast side, you're building a network, and it's the same thing. You're building an audience. They really are very, very, very similar. It's the way people ingest content now, and they ingest it in ways they didn't before, and embarrassing amounts that they didn't before. And I think that it's as simple as that. To answer your question, in addition to that, there's the home runs, right? A home run that is not easy to replicate is the Netflix TV show. So what the Netflix TV show did for us, which, I think that's hitting the grand slam. That's best case scenario. Will we get another show? We're trying. We're continuing to try to replicate and get an additional show. But what that show did for us was, leading up to it, we were getting about 125, 130,000 unique visitors a month on our site. The month, July 2020, that show dropped, we had 1.2 million unique visitors. Wow. And Netflix didn't give us like a call to action at the end. Go to battlebox.com. It was just people searching on Google for us. So we saw obviously a increase in direct traffic, and increase in Google organic, Google paid. Those were the three buckets in analytics, if you will, of that traffic. But we did a 10x, already relatively acceptable number of traffic got 10x because of a TV show. And it's just interesting. It's you're looking for the home runs like that. We've had a couple of videos. We had one video testing a water filtration that got 35 million views. And
that's as it would. Why would it not, right?
I don't know. It's a lot of views, and
it really is. Jeez.
It that was on TikTok. It has more than that on YouTube. But from that came just obviously there was an uptick in traffic. There was an uptick in email submissions and emails that we're collecting. From that video though came some other cool things. A bunch of I guess you would consider them media companies, but a lot of the those sites and pages that just post content, other people's content all the time. We had a few of them reach out to us and say, "Hey, can we repost your content? We're going to tag you." Well, absolutely. So we have all these other companies now reposting that video and tagging us, which means they then come to our page, they like our page, or they follow us depending on channel. So it's like just a constant snowball that's just getting larger and larger and larger.
That's just, it's funny, isn't it? And so how do you keep it engaging, right? I mean, because I'm imagining, John, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm imagining that the bigger it gets, the more successful it gets, the more pressure you put upon yourselves to deliver great content, right? So I'm imagining as a channel gets better, the cameras get bigger, do you know what I mean? The production value gets higher, which is a pressure I don't think you have when it's just you sat around a kitchen table because you're starting, your first online store. You've got a mobile phone and that's it.
Right.
What do you guys do to sort of keep that content fresh? How do you work that?
So now we've gotten to a point where expectations are rising, and it's a new challenge, right? Before was the challenge of let's just get some content, but now expectations are there. So we're just constantly having meetings trying to figure out how can we make some additional content. Surprisingly, ChatGPT has been a friend of ours.
Wow.
So giving us ideas. We were in Las Vegas for a conference, and we had the idea we had seen on TikTok and other channels where people were just asking random people questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, okay, there's something there. People watch these videos because they have millions of views and millions of likes and shares. How do we kind of do this but make it our own? So we asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told us. And we then came up with a bunch of questions we could ask. And we then also asked ChatGPT, what questions should we ask? And it's not just, that's not what we typed, right? We gave
Mm-hmm.
it context and direction and what we're trying to accomplish from it and what it's going to be used for. And it popped out 20 questions to us. And most of them were better than the questions we came up with.
Wow.
And then, so we said, okay, well, let's do a true test. So in some of the content, we ask our questions, and in some of the content, we ask the ChatGPT questions, and the dang ChatGPT questions perform better.
That's fascinating.
So that's I know maybe not as much as it was, but for the last couple months, ChatGPT has been the buzz that everyone's talking to. That's how we're using it. We're using it as leverage. How do we go faster and stronger in ways, and they're mostly content driven. We're asking them for, okay, we want to film this. Write us a script. And it's giving us, now, it's not ever getting it to 100%, right? It's getting us, getting it from, we're getting it, taking it from 0 to 5. It's taking it from 5 to 85. And then at that point, we're then just editing, honing it, making it our own. But it's shaving probably 8, 9, 10 hours out of a process for us, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's I like that, and I like the fact you've mentioned that it's not necessarily perfect, but it I think it's a great place to give you ideas, doesn't it? And it sort of jumpstarts that process. I was on Midjourney the other day, as playing around with that, which is like, I don't know if you come across Midjourney, but it's just sort of like a AI imagery. Yeah. And it's just incredible. So we were like telling it, right, I want you to create website UX, UI with this idea and that idea, and just coming up with some thoughts. Now, what it comes back with, you can't use, but it can send you down, it gives you ideas. I tell you, John, I'm a bit of regulars to the show will know I sort of dabble in carpentry and joinery. I like to make stuff out of wood. It's like my little hobby, if you like. And my daughter, who's 16 years old, she wants me to make her a new bed, which I designed. We'd gone on Pinterest, we'd looked at images together, and we drew it up and designed it. And I'm just about to start cutting all the wood, and then I was on Midjourney, and I thought, I wonder what would happen if. And so I just put in some prompts into Midjourney and come back with some bed designs. And my daughter see them and she went, Dad, that design you did, I don't want that. I want that one that thing is done there. And we're like, oh my goodness. It's really interesting how it sets you off in the right path. But
I think you nailed it though, right? It helps with the ideas. it's not going to be a replacement, but it helps guide you towards creation.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you're doing it, using it on a channel as big as you guys are. What does the future look like, John, for you guys? Where do you want? I mean, you obviously your aim this year is to get the gold plaque, which is 1 million YouTube subscribers. But beyond that, what sort of other things are you guys aiming for?
So far this year, we brought on our second full-time video editor.
Mm-hmm.
Our short-term goal, which we'd like to figure out in Q2, I don't know if we will, but that's at least what we're hoping for, is we want to bring on another full-time creator.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll allow us to just output a way more additional content. We're going to change our thinking this year. Previously, we have BattlBox, we have Carnivore Club, we have Wanlow, we have these additional brands. But we've always built the brand and then tried to build the content and community on top of it. I think this next brand we launch, we're going to build the content and community first, and then listen to that audience and really just inspect and understand the demographics and the makeup and what that audience is, and then cater a brand that's made specifically for that audience. Which is for us, it's the reverse order. You look at, we're talking about YouTube content. So many, obviously Mr. Beast is the one that everyone knows. That's what he did, right? He built this content and community, and then he dumps a burger brand and a cookie or chocolate brand on top, and they're instant successes.
Instant hits. Yeah.
Right. Now, is it easy to build a community and follower count like him? Probably not. But if you can build at a smaller scale a community and an audience, I think understanding that community and then building the brand on top of it, I think it's reverse for us, but you're seeing people do it in that order and doing it really well. I think that's how
it is reverse for you, but the in effect the principle is still the same, isn't it? It's you guys are focusing very heavily on content and community. It's what you guys do well, and out of that, you managed to monetize. Now, before you had a product, you went and found the community. Now you're on about getting the community and doing it the product, but there's still this principle of produce content that your community wants to consume, right? And I'm kind of curious as we close the show here. You've been doing this a couple years, right? And you guys have got a lot going on. What's something, maybe 2 or 3 points that you wish you knew at the start that you sort of figured out along the way that would have really, really helped you and sort of got you on your journey a lot quicker?
So the number one thing is diversification of lead source. So right now we're super diversified. Typically, and there's ebbs and flows, and when a campaign, advertising campaign is doing well and really well, it's going to temporarily bridge this rule and break it. But we want to have no single lead source currently giving us more than a sixth or 16% of our customers.
Right.
Because we never want to be dependent on a specific platform or area. Now, I wish we knew that before. Go circa 2015. We were advertising only on Facebook. Now, we were sending those YouTube boxes, but we were only advertising on Facebook. We were acquiring customers for $5. And knowing
bring
what
back
we know
those
now,
days, right?
Yeah, I would have gotten as many credit cards as banks had given me, and
maxed it
every
out.
single one out. I think a mistake people see, and I think it's very much true now in a post iOS world where wins are a little farther and few between than they used to be. When you get a win, go. Like figure out what overselling the problems that causes, right? And it's a good problem to have, and you can figure it out. I think when you see something that works, You have to double down, triple down, and as fast as you possibly can, capitalize on that winning and make it as big of a victory as possible. I don't think you can go on the assumption that, oh, we can just pause this campaign and next month we'll start back up and it's gonna work. I think that's the biggest piece of advice is just go. Just oversell and figure out how to solve for that later. Get the customers while you can, because it's such a different landscape now.
Yeah. No, really powerful stuff. Really powerful stuff. John, listen, it's been great chatting to you on the show, man. And thank you for answering my questions and helping me feel a bit more inspired about this whole area. How do people reach you? How do they connect with you if they want to do that?
Sure. Probably best is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I'm self-admittedly I'm on Twitter, but I'm horrible at it. But I'm pretty good at LinkedIn. And I also have a blog, onlinequeso.com, where I just kind of write what we're working on. It's not your typical stuff that's only filled with wins. It's filled with losses too, because I feel that there's such learning experiences from the losses, and people don't really document that. And I like it because too, it helps me process it and how we can learn from it and be better, stronger, faster. But also, if I can put it out there and someone can read it and it can save them a step, not make the same mistake I made, then it's a win.
Fantastic. And what's your blog?
Onlinequeso.com.
Onlinequeso.com. We will, of course, link to that and to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as well on the website. If you are regular to the email, they'll also be in the email. But John, genuine, real appreciation, man, for you coming on the show and sharing your insights and thoughts. And I'm going to be going and checking out your YouTube channel. We'll connect on LinkedIn just because we can, and I'm going to connect with you on Twitter just because I'm also rubbish at it as well. So we'll just be rubbish together, and we'll see how we get on. But it's been awesome. Thanks, man. Genuinely, really, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Really appreciate it.
No worries. So there you have it. Another fantastic conversation with John. As I said, all of the links to John, his LinkedIn and Twitter that he never uses, as well as to his blog, will be on the website in the show notes at ecommercepodcast.net. It will also be in the newsletter, which is emailed out. If you're not on the list, get on the list and they just come straight to you. Now, let me just say, be sure to follow the e-commerce podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, because we've got yet more great conversations lined up and I don't want you to miss any of them. Also, let me give a big shout out to today's show sponsor, the e-commerce cohort. Remember to check out their free online training at ecommercecycles.com. Just have a go. See how you get on. And before I wrap up today's episode, let me just take a moment to invite you, dear listener, to become a part of the show. If you're an e-commerce entrepreneur or an expert in the area of e-commerce and would like to share your insights with our amazing audience, we would love to hear from you, or maybe you know somebody. Just head over to the website ecommercepodcast.net, follow the links, get in touch. We would love to hear from you. Yes, we would. And in case no one has told you yet today, you, dear listener, are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. It's just a burden you have to bear. I have to bear it. John definitely has to bear it. And you've got to bear it as well. So it just is what it is. Now, the e-commerce podcast is produced by Orion Media. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon, Estella Robin, and Tanya Hutzalak. Our theme song was written by Josh Edmondson. And as I mentioned, if you would like to read the transcript or show notes, head over to the website, ecommercepodcast.net. That's it from me. That's it from John. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.